Hello again. At least I assume hello again. This is part 3 of me making the 1950s Tron dress. Or my version of a 1950s Tron dress. Yes, I know I'm wearing the same clothes as last time, the intro for the last one. I literally just filmed it and then filmed this one. Because might as well film both, because we're going to be assembling the dress and all the pieces all at the same time. Anyway, so in part 1 of the Tron dressmaking series, I kind of explained why I want to make a 1950s Tron dress, how my husband and I are collabing on making this dress, why we are collabing, and then who's doing what parts, and then I also tell you the design of what the Tron dress will look like, which will look something like this, because I just saw this dress and it screamed Tron to me. And then in part 1, I made tons of mock-ups to get this dress. I know you can't really tell right now, but this dress is that dress. At least I'm hoping it will turn out to be that dress. So I do recommend going back to part 1 and watching that so you can kind of get a little bit of background information, understand a lot more of what's going on, understand how I got to this dress point, how to make this mock-up, how I at least made this mock-up, or this dress design. And then part 2 of the Tron dress series is me, actually it's not me, it's mostly my husband, and him doing his electronic part of making the Tron dress. My husband's very good with electronics, at least I think he's very good with electronics. And he's working on lighting up the dress, so wherever's white, actually no, wherever's black on this dress, because I'm going to reverse this, and the white part's going to be black and the black part's going to be white. Wherever's white on that dress, I'm hoping to have it light up. So my husband is, in part 2, working on the lights, making the dress light up. And then he's also 3D printing the disc that will go on my back and making that light up. I'm also hoping to insert in that film making the buttons for this dress, because I'm hoping to make the buttons also light up. If we don't get around to it, whatever. If we do, yes, like yes, if we do, because I think it'll just tie the whole outfit together. But I also worry about time. So, and I worry about like the logistics of making that work out. But in this episode of part 3, we are actually going to get around to making the dress. We're going to make this mock-up look something like this, with a reverse version of this. We are going to take my black fabric that I bought. Yeah, we're going to take this black fabric that I bought. It is, I'm not sure exactly what it is. It's a black fabric. Technically, it's actually blue. And yes, I've already cut the dress out. But it's technically blue, and the back side is black. We'll be using the black side of the fabric. It is a fabric that's kind of a little thicker. It has a nice drape, a nice sturdy drape, but it has also a little bit of stretch. Because this will be a pencil dress, I want a little bit of stretch, but I also want it to have a nice drapage. So this is what's left over fabric. I'm hoping to make a second one day. So anyway, so we'll be using this fabric, or I already used this fabric to cut this out, so I realized I forgot to film an intro. So I'll be using that fabric to cut it out and then assemble the dress together, and I will take you along on how I assembled this dress together. Sorry, I forgot to film an intro before making the dress, and now I've made the dress. It was like, oh crap, I forgot to make an intro. So anyway, I will take you along on how I assembled the dress, on all the hiccups that I run into along the way, because it's making a dress. Of course I'm going to have hiccups. Yeah, and I'll explain all of that. So first things first, I gotta go back in time and show you guys me cutting out the fabric and how I assembled the dress together. So let's roll to those clips.
Voiceover Raven time! It's been a while since I've done a voiceover. Anyway, so the dress, as you saw in that first clip, the dress is made out of 6 panels or 6 pieces, and I cut those all out, and then I marked the darts and pinned them and sewed them shut, which is what you're seeing in this clip. And then after that, I ironed the darts to lay whatever which way I wanted them to lay. I went back and forth on that a couple of times. And then I sewed the front panel pieces of the dress, the top front pieces, to the back, and sewed that side seam, which is what you're seeing here, is me sewing that side seam. And then I'm going to do the same for the skirt. I'm going to sew those 2 front pieces to the back and make a nice beautiful side seam. And then with the skirt, I'm going to go back and actually redo that side seam because I have narrow hips and I didn't like the way the pattern lays out. It like makes my hips, they stick out really far, and so I had to come back and make that narrower. Then after that, I did the shoulders. I sewed those top shoulder straps shut. Man, that is hard to say. Shoulder straps shut. And now I'm going to try on the dress.
Okay, we're trying it on, and we have some hiccups. Obviously, I still need to trim in the hips. I did not transfer those notes over onto the pattern, just because this is a different fabric and a different material, and I wanted to make sure I didn't cut away something I couldn't add. So I figured we could cut it away later, or sew it away later. So I do definitely still need to take in the hips some, like I did with the mock-up. But on that, I think the skirt is fine. The top, on the other hand, whew, first things first is I don't know what's going on with the darts over here on this side, but they be weird. Mostly this top one right here. I need to like do something with it. This side doesn't seem that bad, but it does seem like it has some bit of a problem. This top, I need to, on the inside, take it in a bit, just a smidgen on top of the outer part of the armscye, but it definitely needs to like taper in. And I think that would help a lot with a lot of the other problems. And then once again, I need to cut the armscye and the neck, because once again, I didn't even do it with the mock-up, even though I knew I needed to. And so obviously I couldn't transfer those notes over. And once again, I'm not going to go transfer that over. I'd rather have the fabric and then cut away as I need one with this than, you know, not have it there and need it. So, because I can't make it. I'm definitely realizing I need a button here, whether it be like a snap or an inside out button is what I call it. Instead of your buttons facing outwards, it's a button that's on the inside and it goes underneath and you can't see it. It's a hidden button. So either if I need a hidden button or something, I definitely need one here because it just pops open and then I have, you know, a little buff going on right here. So I definitely need like at least one there. I'd probably, yeah, we'll just go with the one there. I don't know if I need the other ones, but. And then I definitely feel like the inner layer, this inner layer definitely could use benefit from some. But yeah, I guess I need to go fix those, and then I gotta connect the top from the bottom because I don't have my top and my bottom connected yet. And yes, I'm wearing a slip, a chemise for modesty reasons. So, also, my seams and darts aren't matching up. They did on the mock-up, but they are not even like, they're not even close on, I don't know what happened, but they're like not even close on the final thing. Like, I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's just because I'm wearing it. I don't know if like, I don't know what happened. They're just not matching up anymore. So that's kind of disappointing. I'm hoping I can juice this and figure it out and fix it, because that sucks. So, yeah. let me go make all these alterations. Hopefully they work and we can have a final dress.
Voiceover Raven again. So this clip is actually me sewing the top of the dress, the little shirt part, to the skirt of the dress and connecting them together. But actually before I sewed the top and the bottom together, I went back and fixed some of the darts, which I'll explain here in a minute, and I narrowed those hips like I explained twice now that I wanted to do but delayed it because I wasn't trusting of this fabric. So yeah, just thought I would insert this clip in and show you guys that I did connect those.
Okay, as you can see, I have now assembled the top and the bottom. So I think the last time I left off is I had some finagling, some shinishing that I need to do. One was like this dart. I tried fixing it. I undid part of it and tried fixing it because I did see I kind of swerved a little bit towards the end, and I thought that was probably what the problem was. And it's better. It still has some finagling it needs to do. And then I changed the front darts right here. I had forgot. You know how when I did the mock-up, if you haven't seen that video, you should probably go back and watch the first video. When I did the mock-up, I have, come here, Sal. Ugh. I have like this pleat right here is off from that one. Same with this one, it's over here and it's off. Just because it's two different patterns. And I said I was going to, when I took the mock-up to make the real thing, I said I was going to move those darts a little bit. I said pleats earlier. I meant darts. I said I was going to move those darts, and I totally forgot. So when I went to go attach the top to the bottom, I was like, oh no! These darts match. These seams match. But these ones don't. They were like right here and right here. They were off. So I undid them and just, instead of being straight, just tilted them ever so slightly. And I was worried it wasn't going to like look as nice because they were straight and then tilted. But it looks fine. I think it's fine. It's totally fine. It worked. So those pleats match up. Pleats the back, the side ones. And then I did leave, and then I think that's it. I put the dress on, and now I'm tying the dress on again to make sure that everything works and it fits right. I still have some finagling. I have some shinishing I still need to do. I don't like the way the shoulders are sitting. It still feels weird and off somehow. So I think, and the arm's eye still a little tight. I did trim it down a little bit, but it's still a little tight, mostly in this front part. The bottom is okay. Yes, I'm still wearing a slip-on underneath. The bottom is still okay, but it's more this front piece that is bothering me. And same with the upper parts. So I think I'm going to trim this all back like a 1/4 inch and see if that helps. Also, the neck is really, really high. I would like it to be lower, so I am going to drop that down. So I think I'm going to hurry make those alterations, see how I feel about the dress, and then bring you back. But I'm so excited. It's like together and it looks so cute. It looks so much like it is. Like I want it to be. Whatever. English is not my strong suit. Okay, this feels much better. I feel like the shoulders, yeah, I'm looking in the mirror right there. I feel like the shoulders look so much better. They sit so much better now that I cut that off. Sorry, I'm just thinking about the arms. I mean, I kind of feel like the back I might have taken a little too much off, but at least the front, it feels so much better. And the neckline is not suffocating. I might go a little bit lower, but I did drop it down like a whole inch, inch and a half, I think. Yeah, I dropped it a whole inch and a half. I might drop it down like 1/2 inch more. because it still feels a little high to me. And then I know it's just going to be even more bulkier once we put the lights on. So I might drop it down a little bit more, but not a whole lot. Oh, and I think I didn't tell you earlier that I fixed the side seams because I needed to take those in, and I did take those in. So I think the only thing I have left to do now is make sure, hem the bottom of this, or make sure I have the right length of what I want. And then I need to make the bias tape. I need to make the bias tape, and then I need to work on buttons. I want to talk to you about that. And then I think once I make the bias tape and the buttons and hem the bottom, my part of this project will be done. Oh, and I still need to figure out where I want to place the buttons. And I definitely need to put hooks and bars or snaps. I think I'm going to do snaps along the inside. Right here, just a little bit right here, and then definitely the whole way up on the top. Okay, now the buttons. So this is like the largest button I own, and I only own one of these. I don't know where the other ones are at. I'm trying to think. Did I use these on my nurse dress and that's what these go to? I don't know. But I only have one really large button. And I was like, man, this button's huge. It'll be perfect. Yeah, it gets eaten on this. And I guess I'll have to go look at the original what I want to do for the Tron dress because I haven't looked at that picture for a few days. But they only have like 2 buttons and then 2 buttons. And I'm like, do I only want like 2 buttons and then 2 buttons? Or do I want buttons the whole way down? But this button, it gets eaten. And then I have like these black ones that are almost the exact same size. They're just a teeny bit smaller. I have 3 of those, so I could be like, oh. Nope. Here, let me pin them on. Nope. We're just gonna keep dropping them and it's gonna be hilarious. Okay, there's one. 3. Okay, so they're like, once again, very similar sizes. I know you probably can't see it because it's black on black. But they're very similar sizes. But I'm like, is 3 buttons enough? It actually, sorry, once again, looking at the mirror. Okay, maybe 3's not bad. 3 doesn't look bad. And then we have like 2 more down below. Okay, I'm feeling this. I'm feeling this. I also was thinking, because we have to make our own buttons, and they're going to be similar like these ones where it's the button and then it's the little part you sew onto. We're probably going to do something like this versus a button like this that has the 4 holes. That way we can, when we're resining, because that's the game plan, is possibly resining these. When we put the resin in, we can stick the LED light into the resin while it cures, and some wires sticking out, and the wires can stick out right at the little nub, and then we can sew this on and the wires, and it'll all just fit right there. Did that make sense? I hope that made sense. Resin, little LED put in here, nubbin. I don't know. When I'm showing you how I make the LEDs, you'll understand. Okay. Anyway, so maybe I do want to go with these button sizes, but now I wasn't feeling it earlier. Now I'm feeling it. But I was looking at objects in my house to figure out like what's the size, what would look good for a good size of a button. Because like I said, I'm gonna have to resin and make my own buttons, and I'm gonna have to make my own button mold. So I found the lid to a vinegar bottle, the one that I used for the cement cauldrons that I made. You should also check out that video. And I thought about like going this size of a button. I mean, that seems huge now. But it would be easier for LED lights because then I have more room to stick. I mean, LEDs are tiny, but I have more room. Okay, now I'm gonna have to think about it because earlier I was like, oh yeah, laying on the floor. holding this up to it. I was like, yeah, I think this is the right size. But now I'm like, wearing it with these ones. I'm liking this. I'm liking this size. Okay. I guess I'll think about buttons and work on those and figure that out. I also need to make bias tape. So I do have the fabric for the bias tape. I do have this fabric for the bias tape. I don't know if I put this in the electronics section video or in this video. I don't know. I'm still gotta film those two sections and edit those and figure that out. But this is fabric that we found at a store. I guess I could put it in both. Let me insert this clip in of why we chose this fabric. Okay, we're here at Burke's Fabric or Burke Hold Fabric. I have the chiffon here with a test LED. It's not the LEDs we're going to work with. We're going to work with more this, which is a tube with single adjustable LEDs. But we don't have that one working yet, so we have these LEDs. And obviously the chiffon is like way... I can't do this one-handed. Obviously the chiffon is tooth sheer, like you can see everything. So the chiffon's out. I have this like really thin like cotton voile. It's really super thin. One layer, and by the way that was 2 layers of chiffon. One layer of this stuff. Oh, I can do this one-handed. Maybe not. Wanna help me, babe? Just hold it down. Thanks. One layer of this stuff is, I mean, it almost works. It helps kind of diffuse if it's further away. But 2 layers, it really diffuses. It really, really does help. So that was kind of like our first choice, and it was really working. Then I came across this stuff. I don't know what it is. It says Faile, Faile, whatever. And this seems to really work. Like one layer, it really diffuses a whole lot better than the cotton, and 2 looks really well. And why I'm pulling them back is we might have, ooh yeah, even if you do dim it, it works a lot. Why we're pulling it back is because it's going to have this plastic tube around it to help make it waterproof, so it's not going to set right on top of the light. So we might go for this, which sucks because I think that's more expensive.
Back to voiceover Raven. So I actually ended up having to undo the dress, the top from the bottom a little bit, and put in this black cotton panel because I realized I need to put hooks and bars in and buttons, and I need some reinforcement. So the front panel on the top does have this little black cotton lining that I just attached to it. Then for reinforcement. Then after that I put some black bias tape. Some of it was actually bias tape, some of it was not on the bias tape, on the grain tape. And I put this on all the edges that will not have white bias tape. And there was way more of those than I realized there would be. So this is actually like the hem of the dress that I'll end up rolling upwards. There's all the other seams, like all the other edges around the dresses, on the skirt, on the top, on the arm's eye, they will all end up having black bias tape. And I went through quite a bit of it, and yet I still have more somehow.
Okay, I am trying on the dress again because I wanted to make sure I had everything placed right, and I'm about to do things. So I'm trying on the dress again. I just put in, so if I unpin this, I just put in hooks and bars. Yes, I'm still wearing the slip for modesty reason. I put in hooks and bars here on the inside, and I was testing them out to see if I like the placement of them. Yes, I still need to trim back this inside. Anyway, so that's why I was trying this on, is I wanted to see if I want to cut where I wanted to cut this, and then make sure I had the hooks and bars in a decent place and location. And then I also wanted to talk to you guys about some hiccups that I realized now that I've assembled this dress. And one of them I've kind of worked on. I actually need to redo it because I don't like the way it looks. But yeah, so let me pull up my plan. Here was my dress plan here. But over here you can see that there's no bias tape on the bottom, and there's bias tape around the collar, and it goes down, over, and then down. And she has a belt to hide like this little hole I have. I'm not going to have a belt. I'm going to have to problem solve this hole. Yes, I haven't cut this triangle part out either yet. I've just tried this on to figure out problems. Anyway, and she also has bias tapes around the arm's eye. I was originally planning on putting the white bias tape around the arm's eye and then, the neck down over. But then I kind of realized something. The lights that we're going to put on are thick and bulky. You can see what lights we're using by going back to Tron episode 2, part 2 of making this Tron dress. You can see that those lights are kind of the little plastic casing around those lights. Even the lights themselves are a little bulky than using the EL wire. And I'm fine with that on all the other parts. I know like with the neck it might be like a little uncomfortable with how high the neck is and then having the thick lights. But around the arm is going to be really uncomfortable to have this thick wire and lights underneath my arms. Also at the same time, that's going to make things a little bit more complicated for my husband, having 2 different arms eyes that light up and the neck, and making them all timed correctly, and buttons, and make them all timed correctly on whatever light show he's coming up with. Which, once again, if you watch part 2, you can see whatever the light show is I'm talking about. So I cut this arm's eye to be where I wanted the shoulder to end, where I wanted the sleeve shoulder part to end. Because I thought, oh, I'll have bias tape. Yeah. So we contemplated this and we talked about this. I could put the white bias tape there and have it be there, but then not have the lights in it, and it would be more comfortable to wear and he would have less work for him. But then that's going to look weird because the dress is black. The bias tape's going to light up, but the arm's eyes are still going to stay the white bias tape. So that's going to look weird. So that plan went out the window. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll just get a bias tape and just do like the smallest, teeny tiniest roll of a hem. Like put the bias tape, flip it in the teeniest, tiniest amount, which is what I did on this side. But I didn't do it with bias tape. I did it with that tape that's not bias tape. That I keep grabbing and using for projects, and then I'm like, wait, this is a bunch of bias tape that I made that wasn't on the bias. Because I was lazy one time, and I'm still using it. And it keeps biting me in the butt because I keep not checking before putting it on. So now I need to redo it, because I actually do feel like it doesn't cut in that much, and it does look fine. I'm going to check in the mirror one more time. Yeah, it's not cutting in that much, and it looks fine. It's just, it like sticks out. Yes, I realize I did cut too much in the back. I don't know when I did that. I don't remember doing that. But granted, it's been a week since I worked on this project, so it sticks out too much, so I just need to use bias tape and not bias tape to work on this armhole. And probably take in the top a little bit, because I feel like if I take in the top a little bit, it might fix a lot of these problems. Okay, so that's problem number 1, is the arm's eye. Problem number 2 is why I was trying it on, is I wanted to make sure I had this fold right and this fold right, which I do, and I marked them with black pen, because that's the only thing you can find that works on marking this black fabric, is black pen marks black fabric. But what I was thinking about is, as we remember in the design, this flap right here will have the white design. This flap right here, I've already decided will not, so I put a black bias tape there. And no, I didn't hem it inwards. I should have, but I didn't think about it when I did it. And I don't really care because, once again, that white bias tape's going to be over the top, so I don't think anybody's going to notice or care. People are going to be more dazzled by the lights. Anyway, so this is the side that will have the bias tape, which means when you're putting on a dress, this is the side that will have the buttonholes. And then this will be the side that has the buttons. How am I going to connect the buttons to the bias tape with the lights in it? Or am we going to run another separate line of wire that's going to go up in here towards however we're connecting the batteries to the lights? I believe we're putting it in a little box on the back where the disc hooks up. Yeah, do you see my problem here? So we either run a separate line of wires, or what we could do is we could do false buttons, which really frustrates me because then I should have just done a stupid side zip. And I mean, I don't want a side zip. I don't like side zip, and I like that I challenged myself on coming up with a different design. And I would hope to do this is why I would hope to do it a second time. Another time is actually make it a functional dress like this and not a every once in a while wear a dress like this one. Because this one I don't plan on wearing a lot. So my backup plan to make my husband's life easier is we're going to do false buttons. So I'm going to put in the bias tape, or we're going to put in the bias tape and the lights, and then instead of making buttonholes with the and then for the buttons to go through, we're going to make fake buttonholes. It's the same process as making a buttonhole, you just don't cut the buttonhole. We're going to make fake buttonholes and then connect the button to the fake buttonholes. So this little flap here will have the buttonholes, and all the lights on it. And then we can just connect the wires from the buttons to the bias tape from the inside. We'll just sneak the wires through and pin them through. Connect them through. Which means behind the buttons are going to have to be either hooks and bars or snaps to connect to the top. Same for the bottom. I will have the bias tape with the lights, fake buttonholes with the buttons attached, fake buttons, and then on the underside have snaps or hooks that will hook to the underskirt. I'm really defeated by this. I'm really frustrated by this because I actually wanted it to be like a real thing, but having a wire here, wire on this that somehow has to go all the way up, and then a wire here that somehow has to go all the way up, plus the wire that's going to be around all of this to get down, is a lot. A lot of wires in a dress, a lot of things that can go wrong. It just would make sense and make things easier if it all was on one flap and then the second flap. Also, while I'm explaining this, you probably also like, but if you're going to have this one that goes up here and then this one that goes down here, how is this one going to connect to the battery pack? What we're going to do is this one down here is going to have a connection. Well, they're going to have connections. So this one's going to have a little connection. This one's going to have a connection, and they're just going to go and plug right into each other, like you have your outlet. And then we'll just tuck it in and inside my little hole here. So, or they'll connect somehow. So that's what we're thinking, is we're going to have little plugs right here to connect the top to the bottom, and that's how it's going to get the power and the information to do its little light show. I hope some of that made sense to you, as it barely makes sense to me. This dress is definitely pushing my limits of making a pattern that I've never made before, dealing with so many mock-ups that it drove me insane, and now having to deal with making a dress and figuring out how to make the dress, but deal with the wires that are going to be in the dress. and having to adjust plans as we go. So, I guess now I'm at the point where I need to cut this, redo the bias tape for this arm's eye, do bias tape for this arm's eye with real bias tape, attach the white bias tape, stick wire in it, maybe attach this, make buttonholes, attach buttons, or just make buttonholes, attach the bias tape, put in lights in the bias tape, put in the lights, oh no, we'll have to put in the buttons and then put in the lights. Sorry, I'm trying to think of the order of what gotta go. So yes, arm's eye, cut, fake buttonholes, bias tape on, put buttons on, put lights in bias tape, close the back side of the white bias tape, connect the thing for the back, and then we're done. Yes! I even have the dress hemmed already. I mean, I'm already ahead of things. I've got the dress hemmed. So I think I'm coming towards an end. I'm coming to the end of this. Oh, thank heavens, because this is awful. This is awful. It's more just awful trying to figure out how these lights are going to work because I don't understand that stuff. And then my husband has to explain it, and then I kind of grasp it, and then I'm like, wait, he doesn't understand dresses, so I'm like, wait, we didn't think about this. Neither one of us communicated this problem till just now, till we've actually run into it. So, luckily we haven't been fighting too much, which is a miracle in itself, because my husband and I, when we work on projects together, we're like, so we haven't been arguing too much. We've been kind of just going, we'll figure it out when we get there. We'll figure it out when we get there. And we get there, we're like, oh wait, there's problems we didn't even think about. Like this button problem. And the bias tapes around the arms. Or the lights around the arms.
As you're about to see, I am going to sew the bias tape in the arm's eye. And then after this, I'm going to sew the buttonholes, all the buttonholes on the dress. There's 5, 6, 7, 8 buttonholes. There are 8 buttonholes in this dress. And I'm about to go sew all 8 of those. But after this, there is no more clips of me sewing anything. I don't know why. I think it's just the burnout, being sick, going on vacation. I don't know what happened, but I just kind of stopped recording after this point. So there's no clips of me adding that white bias tape. That was a complete nightmare. And never did end up using the nice silk expensive white bias tape. I ended up scrapping that because it was a nightmare to sew with, and went with some white cotton that I happened to have and made bias tape with that and encased the lights in those. There's also like no clips of me encasing the wires in that bias tape. There's no clips of really anything after this. It's literally just me sewing this buttonhole, and then we're done. We're gonna go straight to the reveal because I don't know what happened. This was weeks ago, and I don't know. This project was awful, and I was so glad to be done over with, and so burnt out by the time we got to the end of it that I just didn't care anymore. So to the reveal!
let's talk about my thoughts and feelings on this. I love the dress. I love the dress when it's not lit up. I love the dress when it is lit up. My husband absolutely is obsessed with this disc. Thinks it's the coolest thing ever. But this dress is a nightmare. It has been a nightmare. Real world problems came up. A lot of real world problems. I can English. Real world problems came up while building this dress. We had a tragedy that struck. Both my husband and I got sick, got burnout on top of being sick. We went on vacation, so this project did not get done in time. I was really hoping to have it done in time to go see the Tron movie when it came out, but it really just got finished like 30 minutes before our church's Halloween party, which was a couple of days ago. But yeah. And then even then at the Halloween party, we ran into some serious technical difficulties that we didn't expect. Even building this dress, we had some technical difficulties that we didn't expect. I ended up sewing all these wires in, and my husband and I were fighting because he was like, oh, I need to have the lights in, I need Drew to have the lights in so I could finish wiring everything. But I'm like, but I need to know like the length of the wire, and I couldn't do the bias tape without knowing how much the lights I need. And I need to I don't know, there was a lot of things, like the lights need to go in the dress, and the bias tape needed to be wrapped around the lights, and they both need to be done at like the same time. We ended up doing the lights, thinking about how big they were, kind of measuring, and then I was wrong on my measurements, had to go take it out of the dress, fix the lights, put it back in the dress. And how many times I was fixing the dress, hand sewing all the bias tape on. With these corners ended up bending and snapping wires. Two of the corners broke, so we had to undo the lights, fix the corners, put the lights back on. And then we went to the Halloween party, and another corner snapped and broke. So we really should have caulked the corners like we had planned on, but we didn't because we ran out of time and burnout. And see, like the other problem, the disc keeps heating up and canceling out, not working. Should have put some vents in it, didn't think about it. But the disc does quit working every once in a while. Kind of, because I think I could still, nope. And the disc, there's another thing we didn't think about, is it heating up and it being the remote control. So when it does heat up, I can't change colors. I can't do the little light show. Oh, that was the other tragedy that struck. Right after we got the whole dress all wired and this all wired up, we accidentally fried one of the computer chips in here, the ESP32 thingy. We fried it, and it had all the coating on it, and we didn't back it up. So my husband had to recode it all. So we didn't have like the battle of the lights. It just does the cascade. It doesn't change this into as many colors as it used to. Like we said, the disc heats up too much all the time. There's a lot of hiccups and a lot of problems with this dress. And there's a lot of them that after this we plan on going through and fixing. Like I plan on like hot gluing, now that I remember hot glue exists, or caulking all these corners so they don't bend and that they're more rigid and structured. I don't know, either one of those words. Put them around the corners so they don't bend as much and they don't become the weak point and snap. Because I've had 3 out of the, 4 corners? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 corners. 5 corners. 3 out of the 5 corners snap. That is not good. We definitely need to come up with helping out with the heating problem of the disc and it breaking and not working out. The buttons could use some work. They're kind of still straight, but at least they're not the creepy eye buttons that I had before. As you can tell, I did sand off all the black and the aluminum foil very, very carefully, and then refilled up the mold with white and then stuck them back on. So they are completely white the whole way through. I do like that better. It looks so much better when the dress is not lit up. When it's lit up, even though the whole button doesn't light up, it's kind of still a straight shot. I did have to change my lights at the beginning. I did have them face me, and then I had to change them so they were outwards. Having both light boxes shine towards me actually kind of drowned out a lot of the lights. Who knew? Granted, the lights on the dress are not at 100%. They are at, I think, 10 or 5% because it gets hot. The dress does warm up pretty well, especially being at the 5 to 10%. I can feel the heat coming off of them, and it does warm up. The other thing, oh my gosh, this backpack is really weird. It feels really weird to have on your back, and getting the disc on and off, I can't do by myself. I can't get the disc on and off. Trying to reach it is really hard because I'm trying to touch close to my back, not outwards, and the disc sticks outwards. And so I have to sit there and go back and reach outwards, which is actually kind of hard. You didn't think like going down your back and then out would be hard, but it's hard. That like strains the muscles. We were at the Halloween party. I kept telling people I can't reach my disc from the top. I have to reach it from the bottom. And they're like, oh, you just have to get more flexible. And I'm like, I'm really flexible. What do you mean I need to get more flexible? That had dawned on me while filming this. Oh, I have to reach outwards. That's why. And that's why I can't put this disc back on. So that is something to think about. I think in the movies they must, because there's no way with all that rigid, thick, it's part of their costume, but it's like bulk. It's like bulk armor plating that they have all along their arms. There's no way they can reach back there and grab the disc, let alone with it sticking so far out from their backs. They must pause and have somebody give them the disc. We did have it touchable. It is touchable. You have these little green, red, and blue wires. Blue for Tron, red for Clue. Green is alt to change and do little things. They are touchable. Yes, we would like to have them painted black and like closer to the disc. But once again, we ran out of time, drive, and energy because this dress was just pushed through. We both got burnout from the dress. We both got tired and annoyed and frustrated about a lot of hiccups, about things that were going on in our lives. Like I said, the tragedy, then, burnout from coming out on the vacation and being sick. There was just a lot, and we were just trying to handle life, trying to handle this craziness of a project. But we got through it. It's really late on getting this dress up, but hey, we got through it. But I got it done in time for the costume party. So that's all that matters. And no, I didn't win the costume contest for the costume party because I don't think anybody in my church is nerdy like my husband and understands nerdy movies. So I know when I posted all the technical stuff, I didn't finish a lot of it. Like I didn't show you the finished disc. I didn't show you how the dress is wired. I will insert those clips now because I know you guys are probably curious about how the dress looks when it's done being wired, how this looks done being wired, the backpack and everything. I will also show you how to get dressed in this thing because it is crazy getting this dress on and off.
Okay, so here's the update on the disc. We have the aluminum foil on this side, aluminum foil on this side, right here. You can kind of barely see it right here. The other side of the disc, wherever that may be right now, it has some right here, so the lights can reflect off of the opposite wall. We have a battery wrapped in electrical tape down there. This is the battery. This is that super mini ESP32. And then this is a little computer chip we got from a rechargeable battery pack. Just a bunch of spare ones that we have. So let's see if the camera will focus. There's all its little information from the battery pack. So yeah. And then now we just need to get the other half, put it on top. Oh, these are the wires for my touching, controlling abilities. So yeah, we just need to get the other half, put it on top, and screw them together. And then I will update you on the backpack here in a minute. Okay, so this is kind of thrown in there haphazardly because we're going to a Halloween party. So this is the battery pack. That is the ESP. This is whatever. Power regulator. This is the on and off. And we're going to hot glue the lid on. It's a temporary solution. We have magnets right here to hold the disc. And this is the disc. This is what it looks like. We have the yellow thing is the power off. There's the button right here on, okay. I can't do this. Okay, there's the button right there that turns it on and off. And then as you see, the cables to, if the camera will focus.
Button wires.
Or the button wires. And then as you see, we have the magnets that will magnetize to that. And we have 10 minutes now to glue this and get dressed. Okay, let's see if I can do this one-handed. So, this is Sally Stitches, and she's got the dress. So we have this front panel. And as you can see, we have a line of hooks and then a set of bars. So what you would do when I first put it on is I put it on and I do the inside hooks and bars. That top hook there, I'm going to do this one on this side. One-handed, at least I'm going to try to. Yes, got it. So normally I would do all three. Then you would come down here and we have the wires and we plug those in like so, but then you plug it all the way in because I can't. There we go. Well, bam. Okay, that's gonna be good enough for now. Then we come over and you put it in the buttons because these are actual buttons. So once you put on the buttons, I was worried about the stress of the buttonhole being on the wires. You cannot see, I'm blocking the light, sorry. So I put in another set of hooks and bars right next to the buttons so that there wasn't tension from the buttonhole on the wires behind the button. So once you get the button through, you hook up the hook and the bars so there's not tension on the wires. And that is pretty much how you put on the dresses. You just put on those two buttons and those last hooks and bars. Another quick thing while Sally's wearing this is the backpack without the disc on it. We have the two wires sticking out. One wire here, one wire here. Those are the on-offs. They just kind of stick out the back. And as you can see, we have it velcroed haphazardly on. If I can get this off. Ugh. So the velcros, we were just doing the two originally. But I did realize I need that top third one. So I put that on like last second. And then quickly, crappily hand stitched it on. The other sides, they are hot glued. And then as you can tell down here, there is another wire clip and this buttonhole where the wires come out of. So the wires on the dress come out of this buttonhole and clip on this clip back here. And then we just have these on-off wires that stick out. So let's stick that back on. We did the Velcro and then as you can tell, we hot glued the lid on for right now. Which is the only solution we could think of, but that is how we did the lid. We did Velcro this because we did want to be able to put the dress on the dress form in the closet, not on the dress form, on a hanger in the closet. But we didn't want this to take up space. Also, my husband wants to put that backpack and the disc and hang them up on the wall when I'm not wearing them. So, Velcro was the option that we went with. Okay, let's show you the wires on the inside now. That I got this all on Sally. Should have done this backwards. Okay, as you kind of saw before, we have the buttons on this side. All 5 of them. And they look like this on the inside.
So we have real buttonholes. This is where the button's sewed on. This is the hook on the inside. And then I opened the buttonhole the rest of the way to stick the wires through. I even, on the downs and bottom ones, the bottom ones, down here at the bottom, I even made buttonholes for the buttons and wires to come out of. Just because, so yes, this button is like on the rest of the top ones sitting on a buttonhole, just because I had to get the wires in somehow. Okay, then the rest of the wires are encased in this bias tape. So this side I machine sewed on. This side, as you can tell, probably not really well, but I whip stitched it shut. And then, like I said, or not like I said, but then like the buttons and the rest of the wires on some spot, I tucked them into the bias tape and sewed them up. So we literally had to like unstitch and stitch these lights so many times. And then the lights to connect the chain, as you saw earlier, are just connected like this, and then that's just tucked into the hole. Now let me turn this dress inside out so you can see the rest of the wires. Okay, so electrical tape, buttonholes, buttons. So this is the start of the chain, and you can't really tell because it's encased, but the wires come out. They are the lights are on the front side. We have a buttonhole right on the inside of this bias tape, and the wires are flipped, and then they're fed back through the channel. And I'm sorry I didn't film all this while we were doing it, but burnout / being / rushing for a Halloween Halloween party made this all like last minute. So this is the corner where things died at the Halloween party. So you get a kind of a sneak peek now, if I can undo the safety pin, of what the insides look like. Anyway, so the wire at the end needed to somehow connect to the backpack and start it. So that's why it goes here underneath, and like I said, goes through that buttonhole in the front to the lights. So inside, so this is what the backs look like. This all right here with the copper little discs, this is the back side of the LEDs, and this is my husband's way of soldering them together. And then this little electric tape part right here with my middle finger moving it, that is the cable that snapped at the Halloween party. So as you can see, it would be really, so you can see that, oh, if it's all blurry, you can see that it bends, and why it bends is you have these tubings that keep the LEDs safe, and the LEDs are on a strip, but then you just have these bendable, quit blurring and focusing on my hands. But see, you have these wires that can bend and move. So that is why the game plan is in the future to like hot glue this all together or caulk this together or something, so that all these wires right here don't bend. But that's what the inside looks like. And then once again, like I said, quit blurring and focusing on my fingers. Everything is encased in these bias tape. No, I didn't go with the silk bias tape that I purposely bought for the dress. I went with cotton because the silk was just so dang freaking slippery, and it was being insane and having a really hard time, and how many times we had to stitch this and unstitch this. It just was easier to go with the cotton. And then yes, you can see my pen mark because I used black pen and didn't think about how that would show up on the cotton through the other side. So yes, all the corners, if you look really closely, you can see the pen mark, or that I stitched in like pink thread. Anyway, there we go. There is a rough showing of what the inside and all the wiring looks like. And the backpack that's like making the dress stick out so bad. I would love to remake this dress again without any wires, because I think when it's not lit up, it is a really, really cool dress, really dapper dress, and I would love to have one for everyday wear. So I do plan on doing that. I do have a bit more of this fabric left over. I probably still need like a half a yard to a yard to make another dress. So I do need to go buy some more, go back to the store and buy some more. Thank you for dealing and working with me on this video taking forever to come out, and thank you for watching till the very end and watching all my videos. So if you want to see more of these 1950s Disney mashup dresses, subscribe to my channel because I will be coming out with more over the next few years probably, because I do plan on making Moana before Moana comes out, and then other Disney movies as time comes on. But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the little bell notification, and all that fun jazz, and I'll see you guys in my next video. And yes, I keep looking down because I'm lit up and it's on and it's cool. So yeah, thank you for watching. Bye! It's working and it looks so nice. Works, works, works. Works, works, works. Okay. Works, works. Oh, it looks so nice. Oh, it looks so nice. I love it. Oh. It worked, it worked, it worked, it worked, it worked. It looks so nice. Okay. I mean, there's some finagling. Okay. Okay. What's happening? I think this is going to be a long day of filming. I'm not getting it off. Okay. I'm pretending to get it off my back and go whoosh, whoosh.
So weird. Yeah, that's weird. I just tried to just whoosh,
whoosh. That's what they do, right? What else do you want me to do with the disc? I just fed myself that at one point. I love you.
I'll leave it be.
I just don't know what to do with the disc.
I don't know either.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know besides like flinging it off my back.
Throw it across the room.
What? Oh.
Turn that one off.
But then I feel like I'm cheating because I'm doing it in the dark, and so at that point we should have done EL wire.
Well, I'm just saying we can do both. Like, dude, your chin is glowing because the light goes up.
Yeah.
No, from your dress.
Oh.
Like.
Okay, you should pause and check out that video.